Former ambassador to Germany and current U.S. Senator from Indiana, Dan Coats, joins me now. Senator Coats, I know you had dinner with the Chancellor last night. Look, the President made it clear to me in a question that I gave him over the weekend in Asia that the U.S. was not going to go it alone on sectoral sanctions. That means the person in charge of ratcheting up sanctions arguably is Angela Merkel. Where is she?
Well, she's clearly the best spokesperson and leader, I think, of the European nations, in the best position to deal with Vladimir Putin. We had a very substantive discussion last night, more than 2 hours on this subject. I highly respect her and her leadership, but she has stated over and over again, we need to speak with one voice, a united U.S.-European Union, all the European nations, in terms of getting Russia's attention. We talked about the lack of ability of current sanctions to move the ball, and the talk about
Does she, by the way, let me stop you there. Does she acknowledge that these sanctions aren't really working?
Yes. It's clear that we have not changed Putin's calculations in terms of what he might do. In fact, I think they've been weak to the point where it might encourage him that he can do more without retribution.
Does she believe that? Is she ready to do more? Obviously, she's not ready to do sectoral sanctions. And I'm sorry, like on one hand, you have a former German Chancellor hanging out with Putin on birthday celebrations, not exactly a picture of a German economy ready to punish Russia.
Well, I served during the tenure of that former Chancellor of Germany, who had a very cozy relationship with Russia. Angela Merkel is on the other side of that. She grew up in the East, controlled by the Russians, and she had no love lost for the way they handled East Germany during that time. So she can be tough. She obviously is looking at a Europe with more than 20 nations, all subject to the economic and the energy that comes from Russia, and that has to be balanced. But yes, she is well aware of the situation, believes that it's critical that we support the independence of Ukraine, that we take tougher sanctions. We'll see what comes out of the White House after their meeting. But speaking with one voice is very, very important, and taking measures both in immediate sense and longer-term sense, such as weaning Europe off of the dependence on Russian oil and gas, is very, very important.
Senator, I know that you've got some of your Republican colleagues want the president to be more aggressive on his own and sort of bring Europe along, almost force them along. What do you, after sitting down with Chancellor Merkel last night and hearing her say, got to be one voice, got to be one voice, got to be one voice, what do you say to some of your colleagues who want the president to do more while the Europeans are saying, no, 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 please don't do that?
Well, I've been one of those calling for doing more, and I think we can do more, and I think Europe needs to understand that we need to do more, and I think hopefully more will come out of this meeting with the president. But strong diplomacy, and Merkel's the best one to interlocutor toward Putin, but also tougher sanctions. And we have to get away from these who's on the list. I mean, this is kind of a silly game being played back and forth, even though I was one of the first 7 on the list.
Right,
that's really not a game changer at all. We have to hit Russia where it hurts, and that's in the economy. And that's why steps taken to replace Russia with our support for energy resources and a number of other things, enriching, empowering NATO now to step up. We tried to romance Russia with NATO. It didn't work. We now have to see them as an adversary, bring NATO back to its original mission.
Senator Dan Coats, I got to leave it there, former ambassador to Germany. Thanks for the debrief on what Angela Merkel may be saying to the president in a few minutes.